Hello, friends. Good morning. Happy June. Happy Friday. We are here for our free monthly community gathering called Connect and Create. This is our casual monthly free creative meetup. Everyone is welcome. There is nothing to sign up for. You just use your Zoom link and hop on here and join us. You are welcome to come as you are, bring your breakfast, bring a coffee, bring some tea, bring an art project that you're working on. You're welcome to just listen in. You can be on camera, off camera, whatever suits you. We gather here once a month. You are invited to bring along an art project if you'd like, if you want to be in your art journal or bring a sketchbook, bring a work in progress, or you can just listen, whatever supports you the most today. I'm Amy. If you're new here, if we haven't met, I'm Amy Blair. I'm the host of this community, Creative Compass. We use this time as a little backstory for anyone who is new. We used to have a very active Facebook community that we used to share art. I was in there all the time. It was very interactive. It was very interconnected. But as shifts have happened in Facebook, I found that group was no longer meeting our needs as a community. And so that group is now closed. And this is what we're doing instead. We're gathering on Zoom once a month in the hopes of sharing some connection, some time, and we talk about what we're making, what's going on in our art life. And yeah, you are invited to join us on the first Friday of every month. So we start out each one of our calls with a brief grounding meditation. If you've been here before, if you've done things with me before, you know that's how I always start everything I do. And in my own art life, that is how I start, um, my own creative practice. If I'm going up to my easel or opening up my art journal or my sketchbook or whatever I'm working on. And if you've never tried that, if you've never tried just taking a minute, like less than a minute, like taking 10 seconds to ground before you make art, before you open up your art journal or step up to your easel, it is a total game changer. And when we gather, I do a little bit of a longer grounding just to help us get present, get settled, release what we were doing before we stepped on here together so that we can be fully present in our art practice. When I'm on my own at my easel, it's usually just like close my eyes, get my feet on the floor, take a nice deep breath. If it's been a real day, maybe two deep breaths, sometimes you need to. And then I usually say something to myself, like like a mantra, an affirmation, something like, this is my time to be present in my creative practice, or this is my time to express my creative soul, or this is my time to express whatever specific thing is going on in my life that I want to bring to my canvas that day. And that's it. So we're talking 10 seconds and totally game changing. You are going to come into your creative time in a different mindset. You are going to find your creative energy just a little more focused, a little more present. All of the to-do list and the grocery list and what you were reading in the news early in the day doesn't follow you in to your creative space. And it's like you drop back into the body, right? Because we live a lot of our modern life up here in the mind, but our creativity flows from here in the body. So just take that minute. Those of you who've been hanging out in this community for a while, you have heard me say this before, but it's one of those things I think we all need, myself included, a periodic reminder about. So that's my little 2 cents today for that. So on that note, we're gonna ground. So you are invited to get into a comfortable position. Get your feet on the floor if that's possible. If you're driving, obviously, if you're driving to work, if you're, listening to this on the go, no worries. Maybe it's just a matter of a deep breath. Maybe you can soften your gaze a little. Maybe you can just consciously release your jaw or your shoulders or the place is, the center of your forehead. Those places we can carry tension without even knowing it. I invite you to close your eyes if that feels good. and, safe. I like to have a hand on my heart or a hand on my belly, but you find a position that supports you. And then I just invite you into one deep, nourishing breath. Just in through the mouth and let it out with like a big audible sigh. Like I said, if it's already been a day, I know it's quite early for some of our people who watch this, but if it's already been a day, maybe you need 2 deep breaths. That's fine. And then just allow yourself to land here in the present, in the now. Just bring your focus to your breath. Just witnessing, just watching your breath as it moves in and out. And if it feels like it would support you this morning, this day, whenever you're watching this, see if you maybe can just deepen those breaths just a little bit, just bringing a little bit of extra oxygen into the body. Just take a conscious moment and release whatever you were doing before you stepped into this time. Just mentally set it down, and we'll be there waiting for you on the other side. Just allowing yourself to be fully present here today, whatever creative work you choose to do. We're just going to let our awareness start to sink out of the mind back into the body. Just feeling your heart space, feeling your belly move in and out as you breathe. And then bringing that awareness all the way down to your feet on the floor, feeling the surface beneath you. That's why we call it grounding, because we are literally making contact with the ground. Feeling the ground beneath your feet. If you'd like, you can even imagine that you are growing roots that are taking you through the floor of whatever building or car you are in and all the way connecting you directly to the earth. Just breathing in that stability, that energy that comes from the earth. And if you'd like, before you open your eyes, maybe just speak some words of love to yourself. It's an affirmation, words of encouragement, whatever form that needs to take for you today. And as you feel ready, just gently open your eyes, come back to our shared space. Welcome, Shelta. Came in while my eyes were closed. Welcome. All right. So, if anyone is watching here for the first time, I know our ladies who are live, they've done this before, but for our anyone who is watching on replay, if you're new here, if you've never been to one of these before, just let me give you the lay of the land. You are invited, to be in any kind of creative process. You are called to if you want to have a sketchbook, have an art journal, have a piece you're working on, you are welcome. Or if you just want to hang out and listen, that's also fine. Usually chat a little bit about just some things that are on my mind related to creativity. Today I'm going to give you a little journaling activity you can choose to do if you'd like. Some months I lead a little drawing activity, or we do a variety of things. It's a little different every month. Um, I'm also going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the community here, what invitations are currently open for you to join in if any of those interest you. So I'll be giving you a little information on that. And then the final part of the call is when I open up, we open up here to those who are live with us, and you are invited to share kind of just what's going on in your creative life. I'll share what's going on in my creative life, and you can share art you're making if you want. You could just tell us what you're trying, what you're doing, what you're up to, whatever you feel, called to share. So that's basically what we do here. And I'm going to start today by talking a little about, so we're in June. I'm here in the Northern Hemisphere, so we are moving into summer. So I want to talk a little bit about shifting into summer energy. So if you've been hanging out here for a while, you probably know that everything we do here is really grounded in the cycles of nature, grounded in the shifting of the season. And if you're curious why that is, if you're like, Amy, I thought this was a creativity community, it is. And the reason we ground into the seasons and cycles of nature is because creativity is also a cycle. There's sort of an energetic cycle that we run through when we create, and it is very analogous to the cycles of nature, which nature is creating all the time. So that makes total sense, right? There are seasons of productivity, there are seasons of new beginnings, there are seasons of closure, there are seasons of rest. And that's, really the energetic cycle we need to move to when we are creating. So, um, and I was laughing recently when I was explaining to someone something that I teach and why I named it that. And I'm like, man, I really just tend to name things just like right on the nose. Like there's really no like connect and create. We're gonna connect and we're gonna create. There's really no mystery. And our membership community is called Create All Year. And that's what we do. We are creative all year for a full cycle through the year. And I love that program because I really think moving through a full 4 season cycle of the year, um, tuning into the different energies as the months go by teaches you so much about creativity, about being a creative, which is why I love encouraging people to join us for a full year cycle. So right now we're in summer if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, and if you're not in the Northern Hemisphere, because I know we do have some folks in this community in Australia and New Zealand who have taken part in some of our programs in the past. I know this is not like your native seasonal energy at the moment, but again, it's still part of the process. And as creatives, we need to be able to work with all of these energies sort of year round. So even if this is not your current season, still creatively valuable. So here where I live, we are shifting into summer. And even though the calendar, the modern calendar says summer doesn't start for a couple more weeks, but if I look out my window, we are in summer. Like we're firmly in summer. I'm in the Northeast United States, for those who don't know. Um, and some of you who've been here for a while also know I'm kind of fascinated with sort of calendar timekeeping systems that came before our modern calendar. I talk about those a lot, and you may know that. So, what we now call the first day of summer, the summer solstice, for a very long time was regarded as midsummer. It was considered the midpoint. So, like, if you remember Shakespeare's A Midsummer's Night's Dream, that was about the summer solstice, the eve of the summer solstice, right? That was called midsummer. Um, Now we consider it the beginning of summer. So anyway, that's all just arbitrary dates put on a calendar. Energetically, where I live, it feels like summer. It might be, your mileage may vary depending on where you live. So here we are in summer. So what is the summer? What is the creative energy of summer? Well, it is so if you look to nature, and another thing you'll hear me say a lot is it's more helpful as a creative to look to nature than to culture as our model, right? The what culture teaches us is constant productivity, but that's not how creativity works, right? Um, what nature teaches us is cycles and seasons. And so summer is a productive, it is one of those seasons of productivity, which is why our culture tends to really love summer. And when I say our culture, I mean Western American modern, that's what I'm talking about. I know we do have folks who are not in America. Maybe you feel this, maybe this hits differently for you. Um, we are big on constant productivity here in the States. Yeah, our culture tends to really celebrate summer because it is an extroverted energy. It is a productive energy. It's more of a masculine energy, and we celebrate those things in our culture. And so we tend to celebrate summer. And of course, in the States, school closes in the summer, which is fun when you're kids, for your kids. So yeah, so creatively, summer energy is productive. It's a time of doing. It's a time of taking action on those dreams. Winter, we're in like the dreaming stage. It's time to take action on those dreams. So you might be feeling that call to, being in action with your creativity, with your creative dreams. It's also the season of like wildness, like the wild woman archetype comes in summer. And what I always think about, we have a small garden here at our home, and we just planted it a week or so ago, like late May is planting season where I live. So when we plant the garden in May, it's always like our little saplings, like our little plantlings in like nice orderly rows and tiny little holes, and it's a nice grid, and it all looks neat and tidy and orderly. And by like mid-July, it is just a jungle. Like, it is just a massive teeming life everywhere, and it's uncontrollable. It is untamable. So, shifting from spring to summer, that's what I always think of. Like, they're both productive seasons, but spring we're kind of is a little more orderly, and then in summer, that sort of wild, untamable, adventurous energy comes in a little bit more. That bolder, um, audacious, creative energy. So, summer might be a time where you're getting out of your comfort zone a little bit more in your art, where you're taking some more risks, where you're a little bit less scared of keeping it neat and perfect, and a little more willing to make it bold and outrageous and a little bit outside the rules, whatever the rules are, the rules we make up for ourselves. Um, so that's what the creative energy of summer feels like for me. It's also, this sort of adventurous spirit comes in summer. And so I want to talk a little bit today about some creative adventure, not in your artwork, but out in the world. Part of the creative process is leaving your studio, going out into the world and having some experiences, experiencing beauty, experiencing novelty, things that are new, things that you haven't done before, the beauty of nature, the beauty of other cities and other people. And that's part of keeping that creative well filled, right? That inspiration tank that, can be hard to stay inspired if we're living, if we're kind of in the rut of our everyday life. And if you've read Julia Cameron in The Artist's Way, she refers to it as the artist date. Like if you're an artist, you need to take yourself out on a date. She says like once a week. I don't know. I don't do that, but you need to be going out into the world and experiencing beauty and awe and wonder and inspiration in a new way if you want to keep yourself sort of like that's like the gas pump, right? That's how you fill the gas tank as a creative. So what I thought I would invite you into today, again, your choice. If this speaks to you, take a minute and do it. If it doesn't, no worries. Um, I wanted to invite you into, if you have a journal or a sketchbook on hand, to just spend a few minutes making a list of some creative adventures you would like to take during these summer months. And maybe you already have a plan, like a vacation planned, or, something's already on the books. It doesn't have to be directly related to creativity. I mean, it can be as simple as, taking a walk in a different neighborhood than the neighborhood you usually take a walk in, or, going a little bit further out of your normal routine. It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be complicated. But see if you can come up with maybe 3 to 5 things you might try this summer that can keep that creative tank filled with some inspiration. So I'm going to stop talking for a couple of minutes and give you, if you want to choose to do that little prompt for a bit, you are welcome. And then we'll check back in a minute. I'll just share. Those of you who are here live, you're welcome when we get to the sharing portion of our call, you're welcome to share this if you want, or again, whatever you're called to share. Some of the things I put on my list, well, our family already has a vacation planned. We're gonna go take the kids to New York City, um, which I live in Connecticut, so that's a train ride for me. It's about a 2 hour train ride. And 2 of our 3 kids have never been, and it's a different, like usually we opt for vacations that are like leaving the city, going out to nature. So it's a very different kind of vacation, but I do find New York City one of my daughters is really a theater lover, and it really is, there's a lot of human creativity there present in New York City, and it's not the same as experiencing the creativity of nature, but also, really, really inspiring and fascinating. And then on a very different note, we have a tradition. There is a beautiful rose garden not too far from where we live. Big sprawling, and it's on a city land, public land that is always at peak bloom, roughly when our kids get out of school for the year, which is coming up in just a week and a half. And so that's usually the first thing we do when school ends is I take the girls and to the rose garden, and it is just, I mean, every color rose you can imagine, and like ro colors you never thought roses came in, and it's just always spectacular. And um, even though we do it every year, it's like equally as beautiful and inspiring every year. So that's on my list as a trip to the rose garden. And I also just wrote the ocean. I really love the ocean and find a lot of inspiration at the ocean. I live in central Connecticut. So I don't live on the shore, but the shore is very easily accessible. I can be at the shore in 25, 30 minutes. I know, not everywhere in the country has the ocean accessible, so I've always enjoyed that. Um, so I will definitely be heading to the ocean this summer, hopefully multiple times. So that is on my inspiration list, my summer adventure. And huh. All right. So this is the part of the call where I just let you know a little bit about what's going on in our community. You are, of course, welcome to continue this journaling prompt, be working on an art piece, listen in if you want. Um, Last month, I shared we have a program that runs in the summer called Reclaim Your Creativity. That program is not full, which means I will still accept, if people still are thinking about jumping in, you can still send in an application. I'm going to send out the application one more time with the replay to this when that goes out. If you've been thinking about it, it is not too late. This is a 3-month one-on-one coaching program with me. The goal of it is to get support in moving forward in whatever your next creative dream is. If you have a project you want to complete, if you have a practice you want to create, if you have a creative block you want to work through, if you have an idea for a creative business that you would like to take a few steps towards, if you have a project that you started but have not been able to bring to closure, the beauty of one-on-one work is that I can really meet you in wherever you are on your creative journey, and all those things that I just threw out are real, real stories of people who have done this program in the past, and things we have done together. I have had people take some preliminary steps towards a creative business. I have worked with people who had massive art projects that were midway and they couldn't get to completion. They needed some support moving through a block, getting to completion. I have worked with people who have come in saying, I haven't sat down at my art space in a year. I don't know what the problem is. I can't do it. And we've worked through, what the block is there, get them back into a creative rhythm, get them back into routine with their creative um, practice. I've had people who came with a very specific project in mind that they didn't know how to get started, or they were overwhelmed with, what step comes first, what comes next. I have had people come with nothing in mind, just knowing that they wanted to deepen their connection to their creativity and that they wanted some support doing that. Um, I had had people come who are like, I have a closet full of art supplies. I keep buying them. I never use them. Or I have a computer full of art courses. I keep buying them. I never use them. And again, we work through whatever the block is. Um, and if you read the email I sent it a few weeks ago about my experience with my daughter needing one finger of support when she was learning how to stand, that is often the experience I have. People need a little guidance. It's a very gentle, I'm not here to push you to the side and take over your creative life and tell you what to do. That's not my style. Um, I'm here to help you move through whatever it is that is keeping your creative dream from coming to life. And, with a little bit of gentle support, a little bit of guidance, a little bit of accountability. That's a big one, right? It's a big one for all of us. And It is amazing. And I've experienced this personally. The reason I offer this kind of coaching is because I had this kind of coaching when I was coming back to my creative life after being a stay-at-home mom for 8 years and having really lost that thread of my own creative spirit. A lot of you've heard me tell this story. My first daughter was medically complex in the first year of her life, and creativity, it didn't just get like tamped down a little, it just got swallowed up whole in that part of my motherhood journey. And so I needed guidance. I needed support reconnecting to that part of myself. And signing up for one-on-one coaching was possibly the scariest thing I've ever done. And also like so life-changing. It's the reason I'm here with all of you today. Um, so if any of that sounds like you, if it sounds like something that would support you, that would help you out this summer, um, then again, the application is going to go out with this replay link, and you are invited to send me an application. I don't like turn people away. The application isn't like, so I can be like, oh, no, not you. The application is just to make sure that you are aware of sort of all the details before you commit to it. That's what the application is for. Um, so that's, again, it's called Reclaim Your Creativity. That's the name of the program. It runs June, July, and August. As a bonus, you also get access to my membership community while you're in that program. And if you're already in the membership community, you have a special price, which went out to you this week if you want to. And if you're not sure what that is, you can ask me, but it's in, I believe I put it in the newsletter, or in something I sent you this week. Um, yeah, and then the other thing going on in our community is, if you don't know, we have a monthly intuitive painting workshop. If you don't know about that, that is a 90-minute gathering where I will guide you through an intuitive painting process. We always have a theme, and I'm going to theme reveal on our call today. The themes are very much rooted in the seasons, like we were talking about earlier. And this month, June, the workshop's going to open. I think the doors will open on Monday if you want to buy a ticket. Um, this is going to be our first animal guided theme of 2026. Those of you who were in the membership in 2025, I had like all kinds of animals coming through in 2025. We did like a snake workshop and a bear workshop and a dragonfly workshop. I think there were like 4 or 5 of them. Did I miss any, Shalda?
I don't remember, but yeah, we did. Mhm.
We did that bird song workshop. The animals were like everywhere in 2025. So here we are in June. We haven't had an animal theme yet. And so our theme in June is going to be, we are going to be working with bees, honeybees. And you guys, I am learning. So some of you know, I go through these whenever I pick a theme. I kind of go down like these weird rabbit holes of research, and I am learning so many fascinating things about honeybees. I had no idea. No idea. So yes, that's going to be our theme for the month. We're going to talk about honeybees. We're going to talk about them as earthly terrestrial creatures. We are going to talk about them, about the mythology and the symbology that they have been connected to forever in every culture, in every time. Again, fascinating. Um, they have been on this earth for a very long time. And so they have been really revered in a lot of cultures all over the earth. And yeah, we're going to talk about the honeybee. We are going to talk about the hive as a system of community, of this interconnected community. And we are going to talk about the queen bee and what we can learn from her. So that's what's going on. If you are a member, you're always on that guest list automatically. If you are not a member, you are welcome. You can buy a ticket to one workshop. It's $30. The link will be going out in my next email next week. All right. And the last thing I want to share before we move into, before I open up for some sharing today, is I'm working on, I don't have this quite finalized yet, but I'm hoping that next week we're going to have a guest in our Connect and Create time. So, when Chris started this container, one of my hopes with how I'd be using it was that sometimes we would have other artists, other creatives, other creative community leaders coming in as guests to tell us about what they're doing in their community, what they have to offer, what they're, because everyone's a little different. I'm a firm believer that you cannot have too much creativity or too many creative teachers, or, everyone's does it a little different, comes at it from a different angle, might have something that resonates with you personally. So I'm hoping that the next time we gather in July, I'm going to have a guest joining us. That is what I'm working on. All right. So let me get my head out of this box here. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Okay. All right. So we've got a small group here live and with cameras on, but everyone is invited to do a little sharing. Again, you can share whatever you want to share about what you're making, what you're working on, what you're playing with in your creative life. If you want to share, if you did that little journal exercise and you want to share that, as you are called, you also are welcome to not share if that's not something you're feeling today. Doreen, yeah,
Also,
go ahead. What are you up to?
um, the beach was the first one on my list too. So, that was, um, I want to get to the beach. I'm not as close to you, but I like the beach and the ocean and the water. Um, and then I was going to put another, uh, bee in your bonnet. You could start. So I just learned that, the bees that actually help the agriculture are not the honeybees, but the solitary bees.
Oh,
Yeah, and there's a whole different. We always hear about the honeybees, but there's a
right.
whole different. There's many more because out here in Georgia, like when you go to the nursery, we would see all these bees that we did not, because California you just really see honeybees. But I was like, saw all these bees, and then I just recently read an article about the solitary bees and how they are the ones that actually in California, that's what they buy is they buy the masonry bees, which are the solitary bees to
We have those here
populate.
too.
Yeah,
They will eat
because
your
they
house.
come out earlier and they're more active than the honeybees.
Well, so
And
one
then
of the things I learned was apparently honeybees are not native to North America. They were
no,
brought
they're
over
not.
by
They're not.
European settlers.
They're
So,
European.
when I was getting into ancient mythology, I had noticed there was no like North American, like indigenous things coming up. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I was like, oh, they're not indigenous to this continent.
Yeah,
Right.
they're not. They're not. And
Other kinds of bees are. Other kinds of bees and wasps and pollinators,
yeah,
not
like the
honeybees.
masonry.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was interesting. Another fact I found interesting is that the solitary bees are more friendly towards other species. As then you can if you I don't know if you ever I've had this happen where you've gotten a bee trapped in your house
Mhm.
and you don't want it there anymore.
Yes.
I had them come through the chimney, and then I trapped it, and then suddenly I had a swarm of bees outside because they're like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" I'm like, "Well, you can be outside, you just can't be
Yes.
inside."
I
But go ahead.
As I always tell my children, we don't kill bugs outside. That's their home. That's where they belong. But if they come in our house, sometimes we kill them.
Yeah. I do that too, but I have a vegan son, and he's vegan because he doesn't believe any animal should be killed.
Yeah.
So that is a hard one when we have a lot of ants. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you have your own house, mama house. And you tell them outside, fine, but inside, you just decided to die. So, but then I've been working on my I have all these. I do these oracle cards that I started with the legend painting.
Mm,
And I
pretty.
branched. So normally they were the cocoons, and then we had a couple where they were coming out of the cocoons.
Ooh.
So I did. So I started doing butterflies. I don't know if you can see that.
Hmm.
Yeah, we start. So I start. There's some butterflies that started coming out. So I've been working on those.
Love that.
So they're nice because they're small. They let me be very in the moment, and the nice thing about doing small things is you're not as they're not as precious.
Yeah.
They're still
Sure.
they are and they aren't, but because it's so small, it's the economics of it.
Yes. Yeah. If you've got a $300 canvas on your easel, you're going to be real precious about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just something to overcome. Realizing that source always provides for you, but that is hard sometimes to realize. Whereas this 3 5 5 card, where you can get like 100 for $5.
Right.
Is that acrylic?
It is acrylic, yeah, yeah, yeah. You can put acrylic on everything, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
tend to find in the summer I am drawn more like I'm more in my art journal and in my sketchbook, and I'm not as called to the massive, not always, but often I'm not as called to doing like a massive canvas. Because summer is more like, it's less predictable. We get, oh, it's a beautiful day, let's go to the beach, or we're gonna do this. We're a little more on the go and on the move, and so I'm a big advocate of having some small art that you can make in your practice. Yeah.
I actually spent a lot of time on it though.
Yeah, sure. You can spend tons of time, but you can do it in little pockets if you have to,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
needs
yeah,
be.
yeah.
That's how life, how life rolls out that week.
So that's where I am.
Thank you, Doreen. Sheldon, did you want to share today?
Yeah, I'm not feeling too good today, and I have a doctor appointment later. So
Okay.
I just kind of been listening, but I did go on a field trip. I call it a field trip with a group, a bus trip to the ocean yesterday. And for us in Houston, that means going to Galveston, which is about an hour away. And it was warm, but it was very rainy and overcast. And
Hmm.
so it was just a mood,
Yeah.
and it was beautiful.
Hmm.
And one of the things I want to do is the Houston Arboretum. I have not been to it for years, so I want to go there.
Beautiful. Yeah, there is something like the ocean just like so vast and just like it gives you that sense of awe, right? That we can't always access in our cities and in our suburbs and our homes that feel kind of tiny. Yeah,
Expansiveness.
expansiveness. Yes, depth and expansiveness. Oh, thank you, Sheldon. I hope you feel better
Thank you.
soon. Let's see. I already shared my list, and I'll be super honest. I have a painting on my canvas on my a canvas on my easel right now, and I haven't touched it in like 2 weeks and possibly longer. And it is just sitting there looking at me. And part of it is that I'm in a busy season. Like those of you who've had kids in school know that that last wind down, like sort of month of school, there's a lot of things on the calendar, a lot of special events, a lot of things that you have to hold. And I am finding it challenging to sort of drop into a deeper, painting process. So that canvas might sit there all summer. We'll see. Um, and meantime, I've been just sort of in my sketchbook and again working a little smaller. Um, and I am still working on my canvas, my small canvas from our May workshop. I'm still working on that one. And getting ready for June. So lots of things going on to keep your creativity flowing this summer. All right. Thank you very much to our ladies who were able to join live today. Hello to everybody watching out in replay world on YouTube. And I hope this supports you in, your creative practice, staying in your creative flow this summer, working in that summer energy. And I'll be sending out the replay later today, I hope. And if you are interested again in some summer coaching with me, that is still open and the link will go out with the replay. Feel free to contact me if you have questions. And I will see everybody again next month. So again, we meet on the first Friday of every month. And if you want to come live, and then of course the replay at your convenience. Everybody have a beautiful rest of your day. Have a beautiful weekend, and we will see each other soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye, ladies.